Please welcome to the stage Zscaler's Chief Security Officer, Deepan Desai.
Good morning. Seems like we lost a few audience to all the partying last night. But for hopefully all of you guys, the morning coffee has kicked in. This is the last main stage innovation keynote of Zenith Live Americas, and I promise you that we have saved the best one for the last. So with that bit of self-appreciation, let's jump right into it. Cyber risk management is a board-level priority with threat landscape that continues to evolve with several cyber attacks that are already being powered by AI. We see a large uptick in zero-day exploitation and ransomware that collected $1 billion last year in ransom shows no sign of slowing down. So my team responded to an interesting attack late last year. This is where threat actors deepfaked, using AI, Jay's voice, targeting one of our internal employees. Let's hear how it sounded like.
Jay, I need you to do something for me.
I'm going to play it one more time.
This is Jay. I need you to do something for me.
So this was followed by a clever text that tells the employee that he's having a poor network connection, and let's switch to the text message instead. Right? Now, thankfully, our security awareness training and controls made sure that this attack was not successful, but it's very, very credible when you have voice and the image of your executive showing up on the text message. Another major problem that global organizations and government agencies are dealing with this year is significant uptick in zero-day vulnerability exploits targeting legacy assets. And I'm talking about VPNs, firewalls, and also VDIs. Here is a snapshot of all the VPN and firewall vulnerabilities, zero-day vulnerabilities that have been in the news in 2024 alone, with several CISA security advisories as well. Now, I'm not trying to pick on a vendor here. It's not the vendor that the threat actors are going after. They're actually targeting the legacy architecture, because by design, it brings both your users and threat actors into your network. And then the number 3 is where ransomware attacks continue to rise. You're seeing some of the stats from a Threat Labs report that we'll be releasing soon. But one of the reasons why we see the ransomware attacks continue to grow is because of a rise of a profit-sharing model. So in this case, there are 2 groups involved. There is an initial access broker group. Most of you guys would have heard of name Scattered Spider. There are many other initial access broker groups. Their job is to get access, initial access into victims' environment, and then they will rent ransomware as a service infrastructure from groups like Dark Angels, Black Cat, in order to launch successful ransomware attacks. This is followed by both of these groups sharing profit. And at times, they don't share profit, and they fight with each other. But that's a growing trend why we're seeing a lot of ransomware attacks. Now, Zscaler's advantage in fighting against this evolving threat landscape starts with our Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange, which allows you to protect against these advanced threats, use zero trust segmentation, and also secure data inline and at rest. Number 2 thing is all the telemetry. On any given day, we're securing over 400 billion transactions, resulting in 9 billion threats and policy violations. This results in a lot of telemetry, and with our investment in security data fabric that you heard us talk about yesterday, it will result in us making use of this intel from our inline platform in solving a lot of the problems that enterprise SOC and product security teams face today. And then finally, my security team, Threat Labs, which is a team of over 150 security experts worldwide that has access to this 500 trillion daily signals from our platform. The team uses this to track several campaigns, discover targeted attacks, and also track several threat actor groups. Now, besides intelligence and coverage activity, the team also actively collaborates with global CERT and law enforcement agencies. I'm going to show you a map. This was from an operation that was carried out late last month. It's dubbed Operation Endgame. What you're seeing on the screen, the red bubbles, are basically the operation resulting in disinfecting tens of thousands of machines that were infected by smoke loader. So this is where we dismantle the smoke loader botnet. Now, everyone here would agree that Gen AI-fueled attacks have raised the stake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you guys through a scenario where a single prompt from threat actor will result in a rogue Gen AI module perform all of these activity in an automatic fashion. So attack surface discovery, exploitation, installation, compromise, and then finally, data exfiltration. You're going to see a laptop screen, that's the attacker's view, and then the victim environment will build out as the attack stage progresses further. So the attacker starts by entering a prompt that says he wants to target a company named Unlocked AI that recently invested $2 billion in AI/ML initiatives. It's instructing the Rogue GPT module to scan publicly exposed assets belonging to this organization, compromise credentials, install malware, and the final goal over here is to steal data from their AI/ML environment because they're heavily investing in that area. This is all it takes for Rogue GPT to get ready and wait for confirmation from the threat actor to start launching the attack. As soon as the threat actor gives green signal, Rogue GPT will quickly identify the domain belonging to Unlocked AI by flagging a TechCrunch news article. It will then use this domain to start discovering all the externally exposed assets belonging to Unlocked AI, and in the process, identify VPNs, firewalls, VDIs. It's also able to identify a vulnerable firewall device and compromise it, resulting in stealing of a credential. Now, this credential, it's able to profile the employee and figure out it belongs to a finance VP named Jessica Parkour. And using this, now, question that Rogue GPT asks itself is, finance employee will never have access to AI/ML environment, so what do I do next? So this is where it dynamically adapts and starts crafting a spear phishing email. Now, in order to target the employees, it first goes through list of employees on LinkedIn, literally scrapes their profile, identifies about 20 AI/ML employees, and then goes on to the spear phishing email that looks like this. The spear phishing email is using a special theme of CEO equity grant. And it's targeting the infamous employee from my last year's keynote, Ricky Tan. That guy is up to no good. But then who doesn't click on a CEO equity grant? Rogue GPT also tells specifically to open the document and enable active content in order to sign and accept a grant. That's pretty clever because that actually seals the deal. 5 of the 20 employees that receives this spear phishing email from Rogue GPT falls for it, clicks on the link that results in malicious document getting downloaded on their machine. So that's an entry point. Rogue GPT will now install malware in the environment and attempt to move laterally within the environment. So for this, it's going to use Cobalt Strike, which is a famous post-exploitation tool that is also used by several ransomware threat actors. It's using this tool, it performs privilege escalation, lateral propagation, identifies all the crown jewel, and maps out the entire environment in Unlocked AI's network. It also finds the development AI/ML environment as part of the crown jewels. This is followed by installing stage 1 malware, so now it has persistence in the entire environment. The next stage, it tries to reach both dev and production AI environment. And in the process, it identifies, and this is, by the way, very common in many of the attacks that we see today, it identifies a stored production secret on none other than Ricky Tan, or I should say Risky Tan's machine. This production key is going to lead Rogue GPT to the production environment, and that's exactly what happens next. It moves to the final stage of exfiltrating data. We're talking about terabytes and terabytes of data being exfiltrated from both production as well as the dev AI/ML environment in zip-compressed archives over TLS channel. So it's all over encrypted channel going to attacker controls infrastructure. This is where the attack has now been successfully executed. Data exfiltration is complete. That was the original goal. So now with this attack sequence in mind, I'm going to walk you guys through how Zscaler can help with all the innovations that I'm going to talk about in defending against these type of attacks. So I'll start with an exciting innovation that I announced late last year, Zscaler Breach Predictor. This is a product that is very close to completion. I'm excited to share that we will be launching this in a few months. For those of you that are hearing it for the first time, this is where we're leveraging the visibility from the endpoint, network, internal and external. This is where ZIA comes in. We'll look at the public cloud and enrich all of that telemetry with our world-class threat intelligence in order to predict and train our AI breach prediction and policy recommendation engine. The goal over here is to harness the power of generative AI in combination with our multidimensional models to flag potential breach-like scenarios before they progress too further. Now, we don't want to stop there. In phase 2 of this product, we also want to suggest policy recommendation that will result in mitigating these breach-like scenarios, probably even auto-mitigate in certain scenarios where the customer gives us that permission. So the product today looks like this. What you see on the screen is what I like to call a breach funnel. The further you are in the funnel, the higher the likelihood of the breach happening in the environment. Ideally, this should be very dull. You shouldn't be seeing a lot of activity on the screen. So now if Unlocked AI was a breach predictor customer, at the end of stage 1, when those 5 employees fell for the phishing attack, the breach predictor score would be 79.83% in their environment. It will also showcase how the breach funnel looked like involving those 5 users where there's some level of CNC activity and potential for data exfiltration. As the breach progresses to stage 2, the score goes up to 99% because now there has been lateral propagation from those 5 users to 10 other users in the environment. And the product will also show that the threat actor was using Cobalt Strike post-exploitation tool to perform this lateral propagation. Now, as the data exfiltration starts, no surprise, the breach probability is 100%. Right? We have 15 users exhibiting similar behavior. There is exfiltration starting from these assets. This is where it will also show you all the malware families that were found in the environment leading to data exfiltration activity. Now, all the attacks, even the ransomware attacks, we see 4 major stages, including the rogue GPT attack that I just described. They find you, they compromise you, they move laterally, and then they steal your data. So using these 4 stages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a CXO security playbook that we have seen extremely successful in preventing multi-stage ransomware attacks. That playbook actually will do also very, very well against the rogue GPT-fueled attack scenario that we just walked through. So stage 1 is where you would want to focus on minimizing your external attack surface. So the first suggestion here, this may be controversial, maybe not anymore. Eliminate the inbound VPN for remote access. And I'm talking about both physical and virtual versions of VPN, as by architecture, it brings, again, your users as well as attackers into your environment. Number 2, hide your attack surface behind Zscaler's Zero Trust Exchange. You can't attack what you can't see. And then finally, you need to have an understanding of your attack surface, your external attack surface, and this is where we can help. So I'm excited to talk about a new product, Zscaler External Attack Surface Management, that we'll be releasing in a couple months, which will allow you to manage and monitor your external attack surface. Zscaler ESM will flag lookalike domains that matches your organization's domain. So in case of unlocked AI, if you look at the screen, it will show the domain that was used by Rogue GPT in spear phishing attack. So even before the domain gets weaponized, you have the ability to block it and contain that attack at that stage. The ESM will also show you all the high-risk findings in your environment. In case of unlocked AI, it was the vulnerable firewall and a TeamCity application. It will give you additional threat intelligence as well that you can leverage to prioritize mitigation of those risk findings. Moving to stage 2, where you have to prevent compromise, the number one recommendation is to prioritize proactive inline sandboxing and browser isolation. 2, implement stronger form of MFA. I would recommend hardware key for access to your critical assets. 3, you need to ensure you're inspecting TLS, because without that, you will be blind to many of the attack stages that we see out there. In case of inline sandboxing, we would have prevented the zero-day payload from landing on the user's machine because we will not allow the payload to get there until the sandboxing is complete. Now, one of the common feedback we hear over there is sandboxing, because it takes 5 to 7 minutes, can have productivity impacts. This is where you're able to use our integrated Zscaler cloud browser isolation solution and allow employees like Ricky Tan to stay productive. So even if Ricky Tan were to accept the stock grant from Rogue GPT, there will be no active content getting downloaded on his machine, no malware installation. Again, you're able to mitigate the attack. This is hot off the press. Our platform went through an independent third-party assessment, and we scored AAA rating when it comes to various threat categories. We were also getting tested against evasions, and the product did very, very well. So thanks to all the hard work that security and engineering team has done. We'll talk a lot more about this in the transformation and breakout session. Now, the next stage is prevent lateral movement. This, in my opinion, is the difference between a point incident and an org-wide breach. So the playbook here is very, very important. I would highly recommend you to start prioritizing user-to-app segmentation. If you're using the wildcard star.star policy, please go through this one. This will significantly improve your posture against ransomware attacks. So start by segmenting your mission-critical apps. Second, segment off your high-risk user groups. In my case, it's the sales team sitting at the back. That's the high-risk group. I want to keep them away from the crown jewel application, limit them to the application they need to be productive. The second one is you need to have same level of security and segmentation, whether the employee is remote or in the office, and this is where you should use private service edge. Number 3 and 4 are more advanced ones. This is where you should leverage. I heard Brian talk about honeypots. This is where you use deception to catch threat actors as they're trying to move laterally in the environment and contain them. So on the Zscaler identity protection, I have an exciting innovation that is already available now. We're seeing this successful in flagging attacks from Scattered Spider and a few other groups. Using the same client connector that you have, we're able to flag credential exposure on your endpoints. So in case of unlocked AI, if they were running Zscaler identity protection, we would have flagged the Gen AI credentials, the production keys that were sitting on Ricky Tan's machine, and could have potentially mitigated the attack at that stage. Another exciting innovation that I want to talk about is Zscaler Deception can deploy AI-powered honeypots. This is coming soon. This is where using our Deception Copilot, an organization can deploy these honeypots in a matter of seconds. So if the unlocked AI's employee were to tell Deception Copilot that he's worried about the firewall vulnerability and wants to emulate that as a decoy, the Deception Copilot will quickly spin up a decoy that matches, that is dynamic in nature, that's able to capture any exploit attempts against the firewall. And as soon as the security users gives a green signal, the decoy gets deployed. It's as simple as that. Another innovation that's coming soon is where Zscaler Deception will also be able to emulate Gen AI LLM infrastructure. This is very, very important. As you heard Jay say yesterday as well, we are going to see lots of adversarial attacks targeting enterprise Gen AI infrastructure, because that's where all the data resides that you use to train those LLMs. The final stage is where prevent data loss comes in. Extremely critical. I'm not going to go into a lot of details here because we heard in the innovation session yesterday, combination of our inline DLP controls, out-of-band DLP controls, AI-powered data classification, DSPM. There is no reason why threat actors should be able to exfiltrate large volume of data from your environment if you have a DLP solution that's able to do all of this. Now, closing the final gap between threats and posture is where our threat hunting experts comes in. So we've been baking this service for last couple years with a few paying customers and design partners. And the goal over here is to offer a top-tier threat hunting expertise to all our customers. All the AI work, the breach predictor work, the ML development, all of that will be leveraged by this threat hunting team. The 500 trillion daily signal, the goal over here is to make sure we augment into enterprise SOC and keep those high severity issues from progressing further. We'll talk a lot more about this in the breakout session as well. Now, that's a lot of me talking. Let me now invite two industry-renowned leaders. It's a privilege to invite MGM Resorts CISO Stephen Harrison and Cigna Group CTO Eric Reed. Thank you.
How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. All right, welcome, Stephen. Welcome, Eric.
Happy to be here. Yep.
So you guys heard me talk a lot about a Gen AI attack scenario, also innovations that we announced across the platform, covering the 4 stages. I think it would be wonderful to have you guys talk through 2 main areas. One is around the innovations, and then the second piece is around how do you lead the change in order to fight what we're seeing out there. So maybe we'll start with you, Stephen. The attack scenario that you saw, did it make sense? Is it realistic?
I would say it is realistic. I think it's really interesting, actually, when you consider the evolution of AI over the last few years, from ML, LLMs, now we're going through reasoning models. We're seeing AI be leveraged for phishing attacks, for writing malicious code. You're going to see this grow more and more. And I don't think it's going to stop there either. When you think about ransomware as a service, you're going to see like Rogue GPT leveraged or something like that as some sort of commodity service for threat actors. Think about script kiddies, people who with no or little or no technical expertise in the space, and what they can do with this evolution on the threat actor side. You're going to see them have some service stood up like Black Cat ransomware, like Hunter International, and it's going to be commoditized through Bitcoin or some sort of cryptocurrency. And I don't need to, as an average person, know object-oriented programming. I don't need to understand how to write malware. I just need a crypto wallet. I'm going to subscribe to some service like this, and I'm just going to hit the ground running. And you're going to see a huge difference here from script kiddie stuff, which is very easy to mitigate across the industry. We've had a lot of solutions for these because it's very predictable. Now, every person can be an APT or an advanced persistent threat. They're going to just go really hard in this space.
Yeah.
So it's really important, I think, to fight AI with AI. So.
Excellent. Rogue GPT as a service. That's an interesting one. We're going to see it sooner rather than later. Eric, what have you noticed about the pace and the innovation that the bad guys are leveraging when targeting the organization?
Yeah, so I was talking to some folks earlier today. Back when I was younger, the big threat was the kid in college who was trying to write a virus or a worm and do it in fewer lines of code than his friend. What we're seeing today is just a rapid increase in the capabilities and in the hands of the people that didn't have the capability before. I was talking to our CISO last week. The average time from when a credential gets compromised to when you get attacked is about 28 hours today. Within the next 6 to 12 months, that'll be hours, and then 6 to 12 months after that, it'll be minutes. So
Yep.
It's terrifying,
Yep.
the rate of change we're seeing.
Yeah, a lot of automation being deployed by all the threat actors. So that brings me to the point, like, which innovation that I talked through, maybe Stephen, we start with you, that excites you the most?
So my career, I'm approaching 20 years in tech. Incidents of note or news across multiple Fortune 500s. I've been fortunate enough to go through some adversarial, like pen testing experience in my career, and then a lot of bad days or fun and interesting days. And so breach prediction technology, this is probably what I'm very excited about as a practitioner. On the threat actor side, they have tools like this. Bloodhound is a very popular one. It's to map the path of least resistance in compromising enterprise domain. And so it only makes sense to have tools like this to weed out the noise. So it's really an industry problem where we can point out issues or things everywhere. Like every tool has the ability to just inundate security operation teams with noise. They lack context. So one thing my career has done is it's made me very pragmatic. I want to focus on what's important, what I can actually take action on, and so not waste cycles, getting this analysis paralysis. And with breach prediction technologies, that's basically it. I'm just focused on what matters. And if I can see a threat in the environment and I have some fidelity around its impact and the likelihood of a breach occurring, I can take action on that immediately, write a new code, a new policy in my ecosystem. I'm able to put my team's efforts on what's really important.
Yeah, great point. Proactive, preemptive, focus on what really matters, and stop at the time the incident is happening,
Exactly.
not a few hours later. Eric, your thoughts?
Yeah, network segmentation, we've talked about that a lot, I don't know, in the last 20 years, right? First, we flattened our networks to make things better from a user experience, and then we decided we wanted to segment them again from a security perspective. I work in a health services company, so we have PHI data, which is some of the most sought-after data in the world. And we not only have the bad actors that Stephen was talking about trying to get to it, but we also have contractual obligations with our customers and our clients to keep their data separate because we service some of our competitors. So the ability to segment the network, and we've tried this with SDN. It's never been able to get us to the level of granularity that we wanted to. We'd like to get it down to an individual, either as a person or as a system. What do they need to access? Is it least privilege? And when do they need to access it? And give them that type of access.
Oh, makes sense. Okay, so switching to the next topic, leading the change. Maybe, Stephen, we start with you. If you were to tell people to do one thing today in order to become effective in fighting against the threat landscape, one thing, what would that be?
So we're like 16 years past when John Kindervag at Forrester changed this motto of, always trust but verify, to never trust, always verify. 16 years.
Yep.
So I would say really focus on your zero trust journey. And for the most part, it's a cultural shift. And there's friction there with your business and how they want to operate. And we're still sort of this department and team of no, or only if you do it this way. But if you can drive your zero trust journey and be able to limit the attack surface across your cloud, application, network, endpoint, servers, your identities, that's what it's all about. And when you can achieve that, you're going to see less friction with your business because you're going to, frankly, care less about the technologies and the actions they take to empower their sales, marketing, finance teams. So I would really stress just driving that cultural shift across your companies and try to achieve that quicker.
Great. Yeah, zero trust. I'm with you on that for sure. How are you preparing to be future-proof, Eric?
Yeah, I don't know that you can be future-proof. I'm not sure that's possible. What we're trying to do is stay present today with the tools and resources we have in order to fight the battles we have today, but also to leverage our engineers and allow them to use some of the oncoming technologies in order to experiment and try things, partner with companies like Zscaler and others to figure out kind of what's the future look like, and where do we have to play, and how do we move there? It's tough. We're a large enterprise, a lot of legacy stuff, so it's a balancing act.
Makes sense. Last question. I'm going to ask you both. Okay. How do you inspire a team? Like, a lot of us struggle to retain talent. Yeah, there's shortage and security talent. There's so many jobs out there. What do you do to keep your teams inspired?
I have to think about this and be honest, because some of my team is here. So someone talks to them, they'll say, well, I don't feel inspired or whatever. So I think it's really about giving them interesting work to do. Again, like I said earlier, there's a lot of noise in the industry, and if you can solve that noise and focus on what's important for your program, you're able to really shift what they do into what matters. I mean, I'm a big fan of gamification. We do hackathons, we do bug bounty programs where we encourage them to break things. It's really, I guess, trying to challenge them to bring new solutions, to work on interesting things, give them cross-collaboration. Collaboration's huge here. This is probably the best thing. Everyone's going to move on in their career. They're going to go do different things, and you're not going to keep them forever. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast right now with resources and the shortage here. But if you can at least lead their career and empower them, when they go on, they're going to at least give a good reference that, yeah, I loved working at MGM Resorts or Cigna or in your program. And and I can't stress gamification or trying to make work fun enough. Yeah. Analysis, security operations work, this can be really soul-crushing work.
Yep. Absolutely. Eric, your thoughts?
Yeah, don't ask my people if they're inspired. Although tomorrow's payday, so they might say they are. I think for us, along with what Steven said, it's let the engineers work on the tough problems. I'm an engineer. I want to work on the hard things that are difficult to solve. I don't like the mundane things. So what we've tried to do is start with automation. What can you automate and relieve from their plates the stuff that's mundane and they don't want to do? Then where can we introduce things like ML, AI, and then hopefully Gen AI to help them and assist them in solving those gnarly problems. That's what they come to work for every day. Yes, they like to get a paycheck. We're all capitalists. We like to get paid. But it's getting involved in something that's really hard, and solving that is what we're trying to drive.
Oh, wonderful. No, thank you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Stephen. Those were great insight. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So to wrap, folks, we're living in the world of what I like to call AI evolution or AI revolution, where data is gold. The amount of visibility and data that Zscaler's inline platform provides, it really puts us at the forefront when it comes to taking advantage of the large language models. As the adversaries use AI to launch those sophisticated attacks, the one that I described, it can happen in the near future as well, we must use AI-powered zero-trust segmentation to fight against it. You need AI to fight AI to level the playing field. Now, the second thing that I'm going to call out is you cannot wait for a perfect solution in that space. You're going to see that AI is going to lead to a lot of unknown unknowns when it comes to the attack patterns. AI doesn't think like humans. So in order to counter that, organizations must simplify their architectures now, reduce their attack surface now by having a zero-trust strategy across the board. This is where Zscaler's zero-trust exchange allows you to leverage AI to go through the transformation journey and reduce your attack surface, make sure you are protected against those future attacks, which we don't know what vectors the threat actors are going to take. So folks, join these sessions. These are breakout sessions, transformation theater keynote, to learn a lot more about some of the areas that I touched upon in my session. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.
And thank you to all of you for joining us these last 2 days. Thank you to our customers, our future customers, and of course, our amazing partners. As with yesterday, please join us at the Transformation Theater and the breakout sessions. And most importantly, we will see you next year at Zenith Live 2025.